Hey guys, so I want to talk about context for a minute. I've had this on my mind for a while, perhaps because of a lot of the situations that I'm in based on my background. I found that social media has caused us not to have any context around our communication. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Oftentimes, when we have so much going on in our day, errands, family life, personal, business, and all of the other things that we're juggling, social media can kind of become this distraction, can really cause a deficit in our lives. And so oftentimes when we're communicating, sometimes we communicate as though we're on social media, or we receive that communication like we're on social media. And I'll give you an example. It's difficult to tell when a mom has two toddlers hanging off of her arms and she's at Target and she's trying to answer frantically a text message or a communication to somebody. And it's hard to decipher when you're just talking to those two toddlers. That's how I view social media at present moment. There's very little context around a lot of the things that are liked, loved, shared, reshared, reposted. There's very little dialogue that's going on in our world unless it's incredibly polarizing. I was told a long time ago that you only read an email as you are. If you're in the moment of positivity, you'll receive the email in a sense of positivity. But if you're in a moment of negativity, depending on the language that we used in the email, you could choose to be offended or upset. And I think social media has caused our communication with our neighbors and our friends and our loved ones to be the same thing. There's no context. And so, for example, if somebody's going through a tough time, we wouldn't know that based on social media because we have a 15-second highlight reel or a 30-second reel that they're allowed to post. And very few people are showing you the dishes in the sink. Very few entrepreneurs are bringing you into the muck with them. There's no empires, there's no individuals, there's no corporations that were ever built without the struggle, without the incredible failure and the fortitude that is come from that failure. I think that's what we need to look back on. Anybody who is in a position of prominence, if you are a business owner, if you're a mother or a father, if you look to somebody and say, wow, they seem to have X or Y figured out, I would challenge you to ask them around context about how they got there. And more often than not, they're going to share with you the stories of their struggle. Nobody landed on top of that mountain. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. Oftentimes, when we go back scripturally or biblically, Old Testament, New Testament, there's nobody that's in those testaments who ever met Jesus perfect. But yet, when they met Jesus, they then became perfect. And the reason that they became perfect was their story. And so a lot of these individuals that we look up to, these prophetic individuals, these biblical humans, we find comfort in their story. We find comfort in their struggle because it resonates with us. It gives us context to our life. It shows us that at one point, Saul was kind of a dirtbag. Shows us at one point, Saul had a different viewpoint than a lot of the Christians of the day. But then when Jesus intervened in his life, he had a change of heart. And I want to pause there for everybody listening and ask you, when did Jesus come into your life? When did he give you that change of heart? And what's the story that you're perfectly positioned to tell the person that you once were? The context of life. Very few people will have a successful life revolving do's and don'ts. Do go to the gym, don't go to the gym. Do drink water, don't drink water. Do have all protein, don't have all protein. These are very polarizing thoughts like I talked about earlier. Without any context around them, they're just a list of do's and don'ts. So I think it's important to set goals around context, to gain friends around context, to love other people around the context of their life, what they're going through. And we get to offer that context from our story and our struggle. That's what makes life beautiful. So go through this week, look for the struggles, tell people your story, and understand how you can help them.